Thanks for joining me and watching my video. I started making candles quite a few months ago. I really enjoyed it. I was just doing it as a hobby, something to do, but I loved it so much I really wanted to share it with friends and family. And so I started making more candles, started doing more research, ordering equipment, ordering things online. In the beginning, I was using bits and pieces, whatever I had, to melt the wax, all sorts of things. But I'm hoping to do, pour a lot more candles than what I was in the beginning. So I'm trying to set myself up, and I thought it would be really cool to make a video and share it with everyone. The mistakes I make, the things I do well. I just wanted to share it. I'm not any sort of expert. Hopefully you can watch and learn something from what I have been able to do, the mistakes I make. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things I've got set up to try and make it as easy as possible once I start actually, the whole process. So obviously I have my soy wax set up ready with the jug that I'm going to weigh the wax on. I have my scales. Over here I've got my tumblers, which I haven't set up my wicks yet. We'll do that soon. I've got temperature gauge, which previously I had just used this one, which worked perfectly, but I was just hoping for something a little bit more convenient. I have my holders for my wicks, which obviously I know that many people use other things, which the very first kit I bought was the paddle pop stick, and it worked great as well. I just find for convenience when I'm doing quite a few candles that these are good. Then over here I also have set up the melting pot, which I've only just purchased. It's brand new. I haven't even used it. Previously I was using a Tupperware container and heating in the microwave, which was definitely not the best process. Not only was it time consuming, but could be dangerous, could slip when the hot wax when I'm taking it out of the microwave. I really wanted to do the double burner method. However, the amount of candles I'm hoping to do, I thought I'll just get a melting pot and make it convenient. So, all right, I will set up and we'll weigh out our soy wax. This time, because I've purchased the tumbler from Aussie Candle Supplies, it actually gives you the information of how much wax this container holds. And then I've worked out, minus the fragrance, that I'll also add how much the wax weight is, which I can go through a little later, or you can Google it. That's how I've worked it out. There's some amazing people out there sharing so much information online. I don't know what I would have done to get started without them. So basically we've worked out, this will hold 300 grams of wax. But then when I've worked out the fragrance that I'm going to add, which will be 8%, that means that each of these will hold 278 grams of wax. So I'm doing 12 containers, so that's 3,336 grams of wax that I require for these. Plus, obviously, I'll do a little bit extra in case I need a little bit extra. So I'm just going to weigh that out now. So when you are weighing, make sure that you tear the container that you are weighing with and start putting it in. Oh my gosh, it's in ounces. Okie dokie, let's start that again. I'm in Australia, so I work in grams. I have read lots that it is a good idea to let your soy wax air a little bit before you are going to use it. So I've done that before. For probably about an hour, I let it air out. just over 900 grams there. So we'll pop that into the melting pot, and then we'll do that a few more times until we get our total. Okay, so this is the first time I've used the melting pot. So I'm going to pop it on now since we're about to put the wax in. Let's pop that on if I can do that one-handed, which seems like that is a little difficult. We'll pop the temp on. I'll pop it to between 70 and 85 for now, and we'll pop it in and then I'll double check my notes. I like to double check everything. Put the lid on. Continue on. Okay, so I've continued to weigh wax into the melting pot, and I can't believe how quick that is melting. I'm actually really excited, because if you knew how long it took me for all of my other candle making, yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we'll continue to I'll keep repeating until there's enough wax in there to make my candles. Okay, so I continued to weigh the wax until I ended up with just about 50 grams more than what I needed. I'll see how that goes. As I will continue to say, I'm not an expert. I'm learning along the way, and that's why I'm making these videos. So hopefully you can see what I do wrong, or anything that I don't get, 100% right, and you can improve on it to help you so that it doesn't take you as long to learn. So the wax is melting. I have put it on approximately just over 70 degrees, but I'm thinking from my notes and from the different searches and videos that I've watched, that it probably would be good for me to put it on to about anywhere between 77 and 85 degrees. Sorry for anyone who's Fahrenheit. I always have open a tab on my computer because lots of the videos do Fahrenheit and I have to change it to Celsius, degrees Celsius. So yeah, like 77 to 85. So I'm probably gonna pop that temperature up just a little bit to probably, I think, maybe I'll try around 80 degrees. I believe the best is just when it's fully melted, and then we can make a start. But I need to put my wicks in, so that's what I'm gonna do next, and I need to choose my scents and weigh them as well. So let's get on to doing that. Okay, so now we're going to add the wicks. As I've stated before, the tumbler that I'm using has recommendations from the site that I purchased. So luckily for me, I don't have to try and work out what the best wick is to use for this tumbler. So I am going to use a size 7.7. And I'll get started and pop those on now. As you can see, I'm using stickums from the Aussie Candle Supplies. So we'll just go ahead and pop a stickum. Generally, I find it a lot easier to put the wick onto the stickum and then place it into the jar. When I first started doing it, I would do the opposite way. I would actually put the stickum in first and then add the stickum to it, the wick to it. But I just find it does work a lot better, and you have a lot better accuracy doing it this way. So something that I learned online from these amazing people that have these great videos. Pop that in there. Okay, so you just get it in the middle as best as possible. little bit of a push. And there you have it. Done. So next we're going to work out how much fragrance we need for each candle. I have 12 Cambridge containers that I'm going to be filling, but I'm going to do one fragrance for 3. So what I worked out was for each container I'm going to need 22 grams of fragrance. So being that I'm going to do 3 containers for the same fragrance, that'll be 66 grams. So in the beginning I was measuring into little measuring cups from the kitchen. I was using whatever I had. However, it is really recommended that you weigh everything with candles, that you weigh, but I just did the best that I could with what I had to start out with. But I have got my scales here, so and I have invested in some plastic cups, which are going to make life so much easier because I've got multiple. So if I'm doing different fragrances, then you know, cleaning I can leave till the end. I can use a different container for each fragrance so that I'm not cross-contaminating. I will make sure that I put in the notes down the bottom where I've found all this amazing information. There's some people that I have been religiously following on YouTube. I just repeated myself. So I have been following them though, and the information that I've got from them is amazing, especially around, you know, working out your grams. I have done a lot of candles in containers that I haven't purchased, and it tells you, and it doesn't tell you, you know, how much fragrance and how much wax can go into that container. So I've had to work it out myself, and being brand new to candles, I didn't have a clue. So I found some amazing people that have written it up, they've done it step by step, and I have been able to use my example and pop it next to what they're doing and work it out, especially if you're not good with maths. It's a bit overwhelming, but these people have explained it amazing. So I'll make sure I put links for their YouTube channels, their websites, so you can go and check them out. Okay, so we said we're going to work out 66 grams for each lot of 3 that I'm doing. So pop the scales on. Just don't forget to tear your weight of your container, and change it to what you're using. It's on ounces again and I need grams, so that's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, so we'll pop it on. It's 16 grams for the actual cup. So when you tear it, then it should bring it back to 0. There you go, it's back to 0 now. So I'll get my first fragrance, and we need 66 grams. We'll see how good I am at pouring this without getting it everywhere. 67, so 1 gram over. Oh my God, it smells so good. Okay, so that is now ready for when I'm gonna add the fragrance to my candles. And I will continue to do that for each fragrance that I'm going to use. Okay, I've got all my fragrance ready, so now I'm going to check on the soy wax and how it's been melting. I'm going to use the thermometer, the new thermometer that I got, to check the inside temperature, even though the melting pot is saying that it should be at the temperature I've set it at. It's still good for me just to double check it. Okay, so it's saying 95.6 degrees. I have this set on 85 degrees. So to me, it's a bit warmer by about 10 degrees. So let's check it again. So a little bit less, 94.7. Definitely hot enough, that's for sure, but it's gonna need a little bit of cooling down when I pour it. which we're going to do in a moment. So I'm going to bring the pot close to the edge. I'm going to pour the wax into my container, and then we'll let it cool down until it gets to the temperature where we'll add the fragrance and then pour the candle. Okay, so now I'm going to pour the wax into my container. I've tried not to have this too close to the edge because I'm unsure of how much it's going to drip, because I haven't used this before. As said before, I used to use the microwave, so I have some paper towels ready to catch any drips in case. And I've also, as you can see, I've got like just a cheap tablecloth underneath, which I purchased from Kmart, and I just cut it into pieces and I use it across all the different benches just to try and protect all my surfaces from the wax. All right, so we're gonna give this a go, and if it's a disaster, it's on video. So, okay, here we go. Wow, that is so much quicker and easier than what I was doing before. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, it's filling up fairly quickly. So I'll close it off probably a little bit quicker than what I normally would. I'm thinking about it, I probably really should have weighed it again so that I knew how many candles I'm going to get out of this. Holy crap, that's exactly what I need to do. I'm not going to know how much fragrance. Oh dear, see, this is what happens when you're learning. Because if I don't weigh it, because I'm doing different fragrances, well, even if I wasn't doing different fragrances, I'm not doing the whole pot at the same time, so I need to know how much. And these are all the silly things, the silly mistakes that I make in the beginning, and doing it over and over is the only way to get better. Okay, so I'm back with scales this time so I can do it properly. Yeah, so I worked out what the wax weight required is for 3 containers. So that's 834 grams. So we're going to pop our scales back on again. It's in grams, so that's a good start. Oh, and actually, another thing I noticed is when you have it on a surface like the tablecloth, it doesn't give an accurate reading, so I'm just going to pop it directly onto the bench. Okay, that's 0. Okay, so the container itself is 291, so we'll tear it. Yep. And now we want 834 grams, so we'll just move this forward a little. Have our paper towel ready. Now I have no idea how much that is in this pot, whether this pot even holds that much, which it probably doesn't, but that's something I'm going to learn in a moment, isn't it? I'll just turn that off now. A few little drips. And now this is gone. Damn it. What was the pot? 292. So after getting this wrong quite a few times, what I needed to do was I needed to weigh my container, write that down, and then as I am letting the wax into the container, I can weigh it and take off the container's weight. The reason that I'm having to do it that way is because my scales, because of they're not being in use, they're turning themselves off. So even though I'm putting the container on and I'm tearing it, it's disappearing by the time I'm trying to use it without the pot weight on there. So I'm going back, I'm gonna use a calculator and just work it out myself. So take 3. All right, let's give it a go. And I did think that I've worked out from now the 3rd time of trying this, that this will be plenty enough wax in this container for 3 candles. So it's about 3/4 full. I'm just gonna turn that off. I don't wanna get too much wax, more than what I need. Let's put that under there for any drips. So I'll pop the scales on. And okay, so it's at 1171. So I worked out 11.25 is what I need for 3 containers, minus, like, including the weight of this pot, or jug, whatever you want to call it. So there's a tiny little bit too much wax there by about, say, 50 grams. So I'll just tip a little bit back. $11.21, so need a teensy little bit more. $11.25, got there finally, holy doolies. Okay, so we'll move that back at a safe distance from the edge of the bench. And then we're going to hop over onto the other bench, and we will get the temperature, and then when the temperature drops to the correct where we need it, we'll add the fragrance, and then we'll pour our candles, finally. Okay, so we've popped over to the other bench. We're just going to check the temp. So it's saying 73 degrees. So from my notes that I've got written down, it's probably best for me to add the fragrance when it gets to about 62 degrees. You will get heaps of different information about that. Do what you think is best from trial and error. When you're burning your candles, what they're smelling like, are they giving off enough scent? But you know, I think if we all listen to people who have been doing it for a long time, generally that's probably going to work best. So that's what I'm going with, which is around 62 degrees. I'll add the fragrance, and then pretty much straight away I will pour the candle. So we've just got to wait for that temperature to come down about 10 degrees. So we'll just check it once more. So we're still sitting at 72. So it's going to be a little bit before.